There comes a moment in your life, and maybe it's happening right now, when the world starts to feel unbearably loud. Too many expectations, too many choices, too many demands pulling at you from every direction. And you start to feel this tiny whisper inside you. There has to be a simpler way to live. If you're here listening to this, I know you felt it. That quiet burnout that doesn't look like exhaustion but feels like it. That low-grade stress that hums beneath your days, even when nothing is wrong. That sense that you're always busy, always rushing, always consuming, yet somehow drifting further and further from calm. I used to wake up every morning with my mind already crowded. Before I even got out of bed, I was scrolling through notifications, mentally flipping through tasks, feeling the weight of everything I had to keep up with just to feel normal. I didn't realize how cluttered my life had become until one afternoon, sitting alone in my kitchen, I caught myself thinking, I can't keep living like this. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't a crisis. It was simply the awareness that my life was too full, and yet I felt empty. Thoreau understood this completely. When he famously walked into the woods near Walden Pond, he wasn't running away from society. He was running toward clarity. He wrote, "Our life is frittered away by detail simplify. And the older I get, the more I realize he wasn't being poetic, he was being smart. Because here's the truth people rarely admit. A simple life is not a small life. It's a focused life, a powerful life, a life you are actually present for." Psychology backs this up. Cognitive scientist Daniel Levitin found that the human brain can only handle so many open loops before it becomes overwhelmed. Every unmade decision, every unused possession, every unnecessary commitment drains mental bandwidth. This is called decision fatigue, and it quietly ruins your ability to think clearly, act confidently, and enjoy anything deeply. So when life feels chaotic, it's not you. It's your system. And simplifying isn't laziness, it's preserving your sanity. Here are the 4 biggest psychological reasons a simple life is actually the smartest life. 1. A simple life reduces cognitive overload. Fewer decisions equals more clarity. More clarity equals better choices. Better choices equals a stronger life. 2. A simple life lowers chronic stress. Environmental clutter triggers cortisol spikes. Mental clutter triggers anxiety. A simpler system calms both. 3. A simple life gives you back your attention. Your attention is your most valuable asset. And right now, the world is trying to hijack it every second. Simplicity is how you take it back. 4. A simple life deepens meaning. When you stop scattering your energy, you start actually living it. You notice beauty. You experience presence. You reconnect with yourself. Thoreau wasn't trying to convince us to live in a cabin or abandon society. He was teaching us something deeper. You don't need more. You need less of what's distracting you from yourself. And this is where it gets interesting. Because simplicity isn't just about removing things, it's about revealing things. Revealing what truly matters. Revealing who you actually are beneath all the noise. Revealing a calm, centered version of yourself you forgot existed. In the next part, I'm going to break down the real reason life feels so complicated today, and why simplicity has become more necessary now than at any other point in human history. There's a reason life feels more overwhelming today than it did even 10 years ago, and it's not because you're weaker, less disciplined, or bad at adulting. It's because modern life is engineered to steal your attention, fragment your focus, and overload your mind in ways the human brain was never designed to handle. We live in a world of constant noise, digital noise, emotional noise, social noise. And somewhere in that noise, you get lost. Thoreau didn't have social media or email or group chats or 24/7 news cycles, but somehow he saw this coming. He wrote, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. Not loud desperation, not dramatic collapse. Quiet desperation, the slow suffocation of a life overflowing with obligations, distractions, and expectations." And if you're honest, you felt that, haven't you? That subtle sensation that your life is moving faster than you can keep up with. That eerie feeling that despite being connected to everything, you feel disconnected from yourself. That restless pressure that tells you you should be doing more, achieving more, becoming more, even when you're exhausted. I've been there too. I remember a morning where I woke up, checked my phone, and before my feet even touched the ground I had consumed bad news, 3 messages, a notification from work, and 2 ads. By 7:15 a.m., my mind was already full. And yet my day hadn't even begun. It was then that I realized something brutal. My life wasn't complicated because it was hard. It was complicated because it was crowded. Thoreau believed that the world becomes unbearable when we allow unnecessary things to fill our lives. And modern psychology confirms it. Let me break down exactly why your brain is overwhelmed. 1, you are experiencing cognitive overload. Your brain wasn't designed for hundreds of micro-decisions a day. Neuroscientist Daniel Levitin found that decision fatigue can reduce mental performance by up to 30%, meaning you're not tired from life. You're tired from the clutter around your life. 2, you are living in continuous partial attention. This is a term coined by Linda Stone, the state where your attention is constantly split. You're never fully present, never fully immersed, never fully rested. You are always on. And always on mode destroys creativity, patience, and peace. 3, you're addicted to stimulation, by design. Apps, media, even modern entertainment are engineered around the dopamine loop, the same system involved in addiction. You think you're choosing to check your phone, but your brain chemistry is choosing for you. 4, you're carrying invisible social pressure. Be productive. Be successful. Be available. Be interesting. Be informed. Be improving. Be perfect. Thoreau warned that living for society's expectations leads to a life that looks full but feels empty. So when you feel overwhelmed, it's not a personal failing. It's a systemic overload. A simple life isn't just peaceful, it's logical. It's the antidote to a world that profits from your distraction. Thoreau believed that stripping life down to its essentials wasn't minimalism. It was intelligence. He wrote, "A man is rich in proportion to the number of things he can afford to let alone." Meaning, your true wealth is your ability to walk away from what drains you. And here's the psychological twist. Your life becomes simple the moment you stop giving your energy to things that don't matter. Not because simplicity removes problems, but because it removes the mental clutter that makes problems look bigger than they are. In the next part, I'll show you the real cost of a complicated life, how it quietly steals your confidence, your creativity, your relationships, and even your identity. Most people don't realize this, but living a complicated life comes with a price you pay quietly daily and often without noticing until something inside you burns out. Complexity doesn't just overwhelm your schedule, it overwhelms you. It steals your attention, your peace, your creativity, your identity, piece by piece. And Thoreau saw this long before any neuroscientist could measure it. He wrote, "The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it." And the truth is, you've been exchanging your life for things that don't deserve it. So let's talk about the hidden costs, the ones you feel but haven't put into words yet. One, complexity steals your confidence. When life is too full, you start to feel like you're constantly behind. Messages you didn't answer, tasks you didn't finish, goals you didn't reach, people you didn't respond to. A complicated life constantly whispers, "You're failing," even when you're not. Psychologists call this learned inefficiency, when too many inputs make you feel incompetent even if you're capable. The result: your self-belief erodes, your inner voice gets quieter, and you stop trusting yourself. 2, complexity kills your creativity. Creativity doesn't happen in chaos. It happens in space, in quiet, in the gaps between thoughts. But when your life is jammed with noise, your mind never gets to wander, breathe, or imagine. You lose the ability to think deeply because you're constantly thinking quickly. This is why Thoreau retreated to Walden Pond. Not to escape life, but to create room for new ideas. He understood what psychology now proves. The mind needs emptiness to make something meaningful. 3, complexity weakens your relationships. When you're overwhelmed, you start living on emotional autopilot. You listen less. You connect less. You show up physically, but not mentally. Every relationship, romantic, familial, or friendship, suffers when your mind is stretched thin. You're not emotionally absent because you don't care. You're emotionally absent because you're exhausted. A simple life gives you the bandwidth to actually see people again, to be present, to have real conversations instead of rushed updates. 4, complexity destroys your ability to rest. Have you ever noticed that even when you're lying in bed, you don't feel at rest? Your body is still. Your mind is racing. Your nervous system is buzzing. That's not insomnia. That's overstimulation. Psychologist Dr. Andrew Huberman explains that constant digital input keeps your dopamine system artificially elevated, making it nearly impossible to calm down. So you feel tired but wired, the worst emotional combination. Thoreau wrote, "I never found the companion that was so companionable as solitude." Not because solitude is lonely, but because it restores you. 5, complexity blurs your identity. This is the cost nobody talks about. When life becomes too full, you become a reflection of everything around you: responsibilities, notifications, demands, expectations. You don't know what you want anymore. You don't know what actually matters to you. You lose track of your own voice. A complicated life makes you reactive. A simple life makes you intentional. I'll never forget the moment this hit me. One night I sat down and asked myself, what do I actually want? And my mind went blank. Because for years, I had been living inside complexity, not inside myself. That's when it clicked. A simple life isn't about doing less. It's about becoming more of who you really are. In the next part, I'll show you the mindset shift Thoreau believed changes everything. the shift that transforms simplicity from a lifestyle into a form of strength. Most people misunderstand what it means to live simply. They picture minimalism aesthetics, empty rooms, fewer possessions, but that's not simplicity, that's decoration. Thoreau wasn't talking about less stuff. He was talking about more life. He believed that simplicity is not a style, it's a mindset. A radical act of reclaiming your time, your attention, and your energy from everything that doesn't serve you. And when you adopt this mindset, something unexpected happens. You become powerful, focused, steady, impossible to manipulate. Because your clarity becomes your strength. Let's break down exactly what this mindset shift is and why it changes everything. 1. You stop living in reaction mode. Complexity forces you to react. Notifications, requests, expectations. You're always responding, but never directing. A simple life flips the script. Instead of reacting, you begin choosing. Choosing your priorities. Choosing your pace. Choosing what gets your attention and what doesn't. Psychologists call this regaining locus of control, the feeling that your life belongs to you. Studies show this single shift reduces anxiety, boosts emotional stability, and increases confidence. When you simplify, you stop being tossed around by your environment. You become anchored. 2. You start valuing depth over volume. Most people live wide but shallow lives. Tons of conversations, but few real connections. Tons of activities, but no meaningful progress. Tons of stimulation, but no real fulfillment. Thoreau wrote, "I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life." He wasn't being dramatic. He was talking about depth, the ability to be fully present in whatever you're doing. Depth builds presence. Presence builds power. And neuroscience backs this up. Deep focus activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for self-mastery. Shallow living activates your stress circuits. 3. You create mental space for insight. A crowded mind can't see clearly. It can't reflect. It can't innovate. It can only survive. Simplicity creates the quiet required for insight to arise. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas come in the shower, or on a walk, or during quiet moments? That's because your brain finally has room to think. Thoreau used solitude as a tool, not to escape, but to hear himself. Modern research calls this default mode network activation, which is essential for creativity, emotional healing, and self-understanding. A simple life gives you access to that deeper inner intelligence. 4. You stop needing so much. One of the biggest causes of anxiety is wanting too much. More success, more recognition, more things, more achievement. It's endless and overwhelming. But when you simplify, your desires shift. You stop needing constant novelty, constant validation, constant stimulation. You begin to appreciate the small things. A conversation, a walk, a morning ritual, a moment of silence. This reduces emotional volatility and builds inner stability. Your happiness becomes self-generated, not externally sourced. 5. You become immune to social pressure. Here, where simplicity turns into power. People who live complicated lives are easy to control. They need approval. They need noise. They need validation. They need stimulation. People who live simply. They're grounded, independent, self-sufficient. Thoreau didn't withdraw from society, because he hated people. He withdrew because he refused to let society define him. Simplicity creates identity strength, an unshakable sense of who you are. And people with identity strength don't get pushed around. They don't bend under pressure. They don't lose themselves in chaos. They move with intention. I experienced this shift myself. After cutting out unnecessary commitments, digital noise, and emotional clutter, something unexpected happened. I became calm in situations that used to overwhelm me. I became confident in decisions I used to second guess. I became grounded in rooms I used to shrink in. Not because I changed who I was, but because I stopped scattering myself. Before you can simplify your life, you need to understand what's actually complicating it. And here's the part most people miss. Your life isn't complicated because of everything. It's complicated because of a few specific forces, patterns, habits, obligations, and expectations that quietly drain you. Thoreau believed that clarity begins with honesty. He wrote, "It is not enough to be busy, so are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about?" In other words, your life fills up not because you choose it, but because you never pause long enough to choose differently. This part is about pausing, looking, seeing, and finally admitting what's quietly weighing you down. Let's break down the 4 biggest sources of life complexity, the ones most people never realize are shaping their days. 1. Emotional clutter, the invisible weight you carry. This is the layer most people overlook because it doesn't show up on your calendar. It shows up in your body. Unspoken resentment, unresolved stress, old guilt, fear of disappointing people, lingering self-doubt. Psychologists call this emotional load, the mental baggage that follows you everywhere and drains your energy even when you're resting. Think about it. Have you ever sat down to relax, but instead of relaxing your mind kept replaying conversations, worries, shoulds? That's emotional clutter, and it complicates your life more than any workload ever could. Thoreau's solution: face your truth. Reduce your inward chaos. Live honestly, not performatively. 2. Commitment clutter, the life you accidentally agreed to. Most of your stress comes from things you said yes to at moments when you didn't mean to. Dinners you didn't want. Projects you shouldn't have accepted. Responsibilities you never questioned. This is social autopilot, and it steals more time than anything else in modern life. But why do we do it? Because we fear disappointing others more than we fear disappointing ourselves. A simple life demands a shift in loyalty, from others' expectations to your own well-being. Thoreau said, "A man is rich if he leaves things alone." Sometimes your wealth is in the invitations you decline. 3. Digital clutter, the hidden thief of time and presence. Your phone is the most efficient complexity machine ever invented. Notifications, scrolling, micro-distractions, information overload, the illusion of connection without the substance of it. Studies show that the average person checks their phone 144 times a day and loses 2.5 hours to digital micro-distractions. Not because they want to, but because technology is engineered to fragment the mind. Digital clutter doesn't just waste time. It destroys presence. It destroys depth. And depth is where meaning lies. Thoreau never saw a smartphone, yet he predicted this perfectly. Men have become the tools of their tools. 4. Identity clutter, trying to be everything at once. The most powerful source of complexity is internal. Trying to be the perfect worker, partner, friend, child, achiever, entertainer, and human all at once. When your identity becomes fragmented across roles, you lose the ability to live from your center. This leads to chronic overwhelm because you're not just juggling tasks, you're juggling selves. A simple life requires choosing one thing. Who are you really trying to be? Not who others expect. Not who you're trying to impress. Not who you perform as online. But who you are when everything unnecessary falls away. Thoreau believed that simplicity reveals identity. When he stripped away the noise, what remained was truth, the version of himself untouched by pressure. I experienced this firsthand. A few years ago, I sat down with a blank sheet and wrote, "What's actually making my life complicated?" I expected a long list. Instead, I found only 5 things. 5. Yet those 5 were consuming my days, my mind, my peace. That was the day I realized. Your life doesn't need a total overhaul. It needs selective subtraction. The art of subtracting what no longer serves you. If identifying what complicates your life is the first breakthrough, removing it is the transformation. But here's the problem. Most people never change because they try to simplify their lives the wrong way. They try to do everything at once. Or they feel guilty for letting things go. Or they fear disappointing people. Or they collapse under the pressure of starting over. But Thoreau understood something profound. A simple life is not created through sudden dramatic change. It's created through quiet, intentional subtraction. Not a purge, not a reset, not a radical life makeover. Just small, deliberate decisions that gradually return your life to yourself. He wrote, "Our life is the sum of our choices." To simplify is to elevate those choices. So let me show you the 4 stages of strategic subtraction, the psychological method that not only simplifies your life, but strengthens you. 1. The first layer. Remove what drains you quietly. This is the low-hanging fruit, the invisible noise you tolerate without realizing the damage it does. Examples: the apps you no longer need, the commitments you outgrew, the social media accounts that drain your mood, the possessions that clutter your space, the voices that stir anxiety instead of clarity. When you remove these, something surprising happens. Your nervous system softens. Your attention returns. Your energy lifts. This is because neuroscience shows that your environment literally shapes your stress levels. Simplification is not aesthetic, it's neurological. 2. The second layer. Remove what you're doing just to be liked. Thoreau would call this the false self. The part of you that performs, pleases, and pretends. You know these behaviors. Saying yes when you want to say no. Replying instantly so you don't seem rude. Over-explaining so no one misinterprets you. Doing favors you resent. Maintaining friendships that died long ago. Psychologists call this self-abandonment, and it's one of the biggest sources of emotional exhaustion. Subtracting these doesn't make you selfish. It makes you aligned. 3. The third layer. Remove what no longer matches who you're becoming. This is where most people hesitate, because it means letting go of versions of yourself you've outgrown. Things like goals that no longer excite you, careers that don't fit you anymore, routines that don't support your growth. identities you no longer identify with, dreams you inherited but never chose. Thoreau believed that life becomes complicated when you fail to evolve. He wrote, "Things do not change, we change." Meaning, when you grow internally but stay externally the same, your life becomes a cage. Subtracting outdated versions of yourself creates space for your next chapter to emerge. 4. The fourth layer. Remove the fear of disappointing people. This is the deepest, most difficult subtraction, because this fear has shaped you since childhood. But here's the truth that frees you. When you simplify your life, you will disappoint someone, but you will finally stop disappointing yourself. And when you stop disappointing yourself, everything changes. Your self-respect rises. Your boundaries strengthen. Your decisions become clearer. Your peace returns. Your identity stabilizes. Thoreau's philosophy wasn't about rejecting the world. It was about refusing to let the world overrun your inner life. I remember the first time I intentionally subtracted something big. It was a weekly commitment I had kept for years, something everyone assumed I loved, something that made me look accomplished. But it drained me. Letting it go terrified me. But the moment I said the words, "I can't continue with this," I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Freedom. That single subtraction gave me more clarity than any addition ever had. And that's when it clicked. Your life becomes lighter not when you add more, but when you remove what weighs you down. In the next part, I'll show you how a simple life makes you stronger mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and how Thoreau believed simplicity is actually the foundation of genius. There's a secret most people never discover because they're too busy chasing complexity. A simple life doesn't make you soft, it makes you dangerous. It gives you clarity, focus, emotional strength, and resilience that people living chaotic lives can't access. Thoreau didn't simplify his life to retreat from the world. He simplified it so he could re-enter the world with sharper insight, stronger intention, and unshakable composure. He wrote, "Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. Let your affairs be as 2 or 3, and not 100 or 1,000. Because he understood something psychology now proves. The fewer distractions you have, the more powerful your mind becomes. Let's break down exactly how simplicity sharpens you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and why it is the foundation of strength and genius. 1. Simplicity improves cognitive performance. When your life is full of clutter, mental, digital, emotional, your brain operates in constant low-level stress. This drains your working memory, slows decision-making, and creates mental fog. But when you simplify, your brain switches from survival mode to deep focus mode. Studies show that people with uncluttered environments and fewer daily decisions have better problem-solving skills, higher creativity, more emotional resilience, stronger long-term memory. This isn't magic. It's biology. Your brain works best when it's not overloaded. Thoreau knew this intuitively. He simplified so he could think. 2. Simplicity strengthens your identity. A complicated life pulls you in 100 directions. You adapt. You perform. You scatter. And slowly, you lose the sense of who you really are. A simple life forces you to confront yourself, to choose your values, your priorities, your truth. When you live simply, you stop being everyone's version of you, and you start becoming your own version of you. Psychologists call this self-concept clarity, and it is one of the strongest predictors of confidence, emotional stability, and mental toughness. People with self-concept clarity bounce back faster, set better boundaries, trust themselves more, don't crumble under pressure. Simplicity is how you build this clarity. 3. Simplicity makes you emotionally grounded. When life is chaotic, your emotions become chaotic too. You react quickly. You escalate easily. You get overwhelmed over small things. But a simple life reduces emotional noise. Fewer obligations equals fewer emotional triggers. Fewer distractions equals more inner peace. Fewer moving parts equals more control over your reactions. This creates emotional grounding, the calm strength that makes you hard to intimidate, manipulate, or destabilize. Thoreau wrote, "A quiet mind loves the present." A quiet mind is a powerful mind. 4. Simplicity builds discipline without effort. Most people struggle with discipline because their lives are too crowded. You can't stay consistent when your energy is scattered. But when you simplify, habits stick, goals become clearer, routines become effortless, distractions fall away. This is why monks, samurai, stoics, and high-performing thinkers always lived simply, because simplification builds the conditions for discipline. Thoreau wasn't trying to escape productivity. He was mastering it by removing everything that wastes time and attention. 5. Simplicity creates spiritual strength. You don't need religion for spirituality. You need space, silence, presence. A simple life lets you hear yourself, your intuition, your conscience, your inner wisdom. This is the deeper reason Thoreau withdrew into nature. Not to isolate himself from the world, but to reconnect with the self the world had buried. Modern researchers call this meaning orientation, the ability to feel purpose instead of chaos. And it is directly linked to happiness, gratitude, and inner peace. I remember standing in a park one morning after I had simplified my life drastically. Fewer obligations, fewer digital distractions, fewer social pressures. And for the first time in years, I felt my mind breathe. Not race, not panic, not chase, just breathe. In that moment, I realized something profound. Simplicity isn't about living smaller. It's about living clearer, living sharper, living stronger. How to actually live a simple, powerful life. Thoreau's formula. If you've made it this far, you already understand the psychology, the philosophy, and the emotional weight behind the simple life. Now it's time for the part that actually changes your daily reality. How do you live simply but powerfully in a modern world that demands the opposite? Thoreau didn't want you to flee into the woods. He wanted you to create a life that feels like the woods, calm, intentional, grounded, even in the middle of society. He believed simplicity is not about deprivation, it's about liberation. Not giving up what you love, but giving up what keeps you from loving your life. So here is Thoreau's formula, reinterpreted through modern psychology, for building a life that is simple, strong, and deeply yours. 1. Choose the essential few, the power of selective focus. Most people try to balance everything. Thoreau chose only what mattered. He believed that life becomes meaningful when you pour yourself into a handful of essentials and let the rest fall away. Psychologists call this the paradox of choice. The more options you try to pursue, the less satisfied and effective you become. So ask yourself, What are the 3 things I want my life to be about? Not 10, not 7, 3. Health, relationships, creativity. Or mastery, peace, contribution. Or anything that feels deeply true. These become your North Stars. Everything else becomes optional or irrelevant. 2. Build daily rituals that protect your mind. A simple life is built through repeated patterns, not grand gestures. Thoreau journaled. He walked. He observed. He disconnected. He practiced presence. You need your own rituals, small, grounding acts that create mental stillness. A morning walk, a quiet cup of tea, 10 minutes of writing, a daily sunset, a phone-free hour, breathing before bed. Rituals are psychological anchors. They center you. They prevent emotional drift. They remind your mind. I choose my pace. 3. Implement the rule of enough. Thoreau believed most suffering comes from wanting too much. So he practiced enoughness. Ask yourself, how much do I actually need to feel fulfilled? How much work? How much money? How many friends? How many commitments? How much stimulation? Your enough will be dramatically less than what society tells you. And once you embrace enoughness, you remove the root of endless dissatisfaction. This is supported by hedonic adaptation theory, the psychological truth that more never satisfies. Enough is the sweet spot of peace. 4. Remove one thing every week. Not 10 things in a day. One thing a week. One commitment. One app. One toxic expectation. One unnecessary expense. One piece of clutter. One old belief about yourself. Consistency beats intensity. This slow subtraction rewires your identity. You stop being a person who tries to simplify and become a person who lives simply. This method is so effective it's used in behavioral therapy as gradual exposure, small actions that build massive change. 5. Protect your solitude like your sanity depends on it. Because it does. Thoreau wrote, I never found the companion that was so companionable as solitude. Solitude is where you hear yourself again, where your intuition gets louder, where clarity becomes possible. You don't need hours. You just need sacred pockets of time where you're unreachable, unplugged, and fully present with your own mind. This is how you prevent life from owning you. 6. Practice radical honesty with yourself. A simple life cannot coexist with self-deception. You must be honest about what drains you, what excites you, what you've outgrown, what no longer fits, who you're pretending to be, and who you actually are. Thoreau's entire experiment at Walden was an act of honesty. He stripped away everything that didn't align with his truth and rebuilt himself from the inside out. This is what simplicity demands. The courage to see yourself clearly, and the courage to change what needs changing. I remember the moment this formula shifted my life. One evening, after months of simplifying, I sat in my room with a single lamp on, a notebook open, no notifications, no rush, no noise. And for the first time in years, I felt something rare. I felt like my life was mine again. Not borrowed, not forced, not pressured, just mine. And that's the point of all this. A simple life isn't small. It's spacious. It's intentional. It's powerful. It's a life where your mind is clear enough to actually experience being alive. Thoreau didn't simplify to escape the world. He simplified so he could finally meet himself. And now it's your turn. If there's one thing I want you to take from this entire journey, it's this. Your life is allowed to feel simple. Your mind is allowed to feel clear. Your days are allowed to feel yours again. You don't need to earn peace. You don't need to justify calm. You don't need permission to step away from the noise of the world and choose something different, something quieter, deeper, more intentional. Thoreau didn't retreat into simplicity because he was weak. He retreated because he was awake. He saw that most people run through life half-conscious, overwhelmed, chasing things they don't even want, while ignoring the life that's right in front of them. But you're not here to live on autopilot. You're not here to drown in distractions. You're not here to lose yourself in a life that looks full but feels empty. You are here to choose, to reclaim your attention, to reclaim your energy, to reclaim your mind, to reclaim you. And maybe for the first time, you see it clearly. Simplicity isn't a downgrade. It's an upgrade. It's a return. It's the smartest, most courageous choice you can make in a world obsessed with more. Because when you simplify, you create space. And inside that space, you finally hear your own voice. Your real desires. Your real dreams. Your real life. A simple life doesn't limit you. It frees you. It strengthens you. It focuses you. It reconnects you with the one thing that's been missing in all the noise. Yourself. So as you walk away from this video, ask yourself one question. Not what should I add to my life, but what can I let go of so I can finally live? Because the moment you begin subtracting, your true life begins emerging. And if Thoreau were here, he'd smile and say, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined. Now, it's your turn.